Good afternoon or good morning. My name is Dr. Bryan Langlois. I'm the medical director here at the Humane League of Lancaster County, and I'm sure some of you are sitting here wondering why I am sitting here freezing my butt off to bring you yet another low-budget yet highly educational short video about some of the hazards to dogs and cats as well. Well, I figured with it being about 20 degrees out, this would be the perfect time to talk about some winter hazards that can affect your pets and things you can do to kind of help make sure you keep them warm. Obviously, the first thing you would think about is the air temperature itself. Dogs and cats, even though they do have fur, do have areas that you have to be a little bit careful about. You have to remember their pads are just like our skin. Although they do have a little bit more of a protective callus there, you don't really want to walk them too long of a distance to make sure that they don't start getting irritation or cold sores. Cold sores are a bad term, but sores due to the cold on the pads of their feet. Remember, it can be painful. It's just like us walking barefoot through a parking lot. If you're dealing with a lot of snow in the area, a lot of times you can get little balls of snow that kind of curl up and stuff like that in between dog's toes, and that can become painful. Just think of holding a block of ice in between your fingers or things like that. So, those things are things to worry about. With cats, obviously most of them are not going to want to go outside in weather like this, but if you do have a couple that go out or you have outdoor cats, keep in mind that frostbite can be a concern for them. Their ears can be very subjected to frostbite, as well as sometimes the tips of their tails if they do get too cold or have a previous injury there or something of that nature. So those are some, just basic stuff that are outside. Obviously also, if you have a shorter haired dog or a smaller dog, like say a Chihuahua or things like that, that don't have thick hair coats built up, they are going to be much more sensitive to colder temperatures and obviously not want to be outside as long. If you have more of a Nordic or Arctic breed dog like a Samoyed or a Malamute or a Bernese Mountain Dog, St. Bernards, things of that, they are actually really going to like it outside in the cold. That's what they're bred for. That's where they're designed to be. So, don't feel too bad if they want to spend more time outside. They have a very thick undercoat. They keep themselves quite warm. But also remember, you do want to make sure that they do have access to come inside, or at least to an enclosed area outside. You don't want to leave them unprotected from the elements. Dogs and cats in general can keep themselves quite warm because of their fur coat, but it's important to remember they can only do this if their coat is dry. So if it's a freezing type of rain or a very cold rain, especially with cats, they're not going to be able to regulate their heat well because their coats are going to be wet. So that's very important. If it's raining out or if they're in an area where they can get themselves wet, you want to make sure to get them dried off and inside and warm. So those are some basic things, just with the temperature obviously being kind of frigid as it is, that you want to be aware of. Now we're going to talk about just some things, that you might do every day, you just want to be careful of with your pets. The first of which is obviously if it's icy out, there are two things to be concerned with. The first of which, if you do have some icy spots or things like that, dogs are going to love to run and play, but you have to remember they're going to think the ground is solid when they hit. Normally that's the case. Unfortunately, with ice, they're going to slip, and dogs, especially bigger dogs that have hip issues, hip dysplasia or knee issues, some arthritis, they are going to find it a lot harder to get around on that ice. So you really want to be careful with them. I've seen time and time again dogs that get hip injuries or tear ligaments in their knees because they go trying to run and jump on the ice and they splay out. And they have obviously they don't have the forethought like we do, where you'd be concerned with them slipping out on the ice and stuff like that. They just see a great area, they want to go run and play. So that's an important thing to remember. And it can affect their front legs too. Dogs can splay out on their front legs and do some nerve damage to the nerves that are sitting up in their armpit. So you want to be very, very careful with that. Obviously, older dogs that have arthritis, they're going to be, their arthritis, just as in people, may act up a little bit more as well. So if you have some anti-inflammatory medication for those really cold days that you can get from your veterinarian, you might want to consider giving it on really cold days just to help them move a little bit. Some warm massages, to their joints also help as well. There's a lot of different things out there you can do to make them feel a little more comfortable. The second thing involving ice is obviously the ice melting substance itself. You want to make sure that if that stuff is down, that it is a pet-friendly variety, and even if it is, you want to make sure to clean off their paws when they come in. Those types of things can be quite irritating to them and can be costing in some ways if they're left on for too long. So if you're walking through an area where there's been a lot of that ice melt salt put out, you want to make sure to clean off their paws really well when they come back in, because obviously they are going to want to lick it off. And in addition then to causing irritation on their paws, you can get some irritation in their mouth, tongue, gums, that type of area. So you want to be very, very careful of that stuff. So, you know, those are some important things with ice and things to be aware of. The final thing that I'm going to talk about before I freeze to the chair here is just some stuff that you would normally do to winterize mainly your car. And the big thing with that obviously is antifreeze. Cold temperatures like this, you want to make sure that there's no issues or problems with your car, so usually you tend to flush out your antifreeze system, or you top it off, make sure everything's good. Antifreeze, and I cannot stress this enough, is incredibly toxic to animals, and it can kill them in very, very small amounts. And when I'm saying small, I do mean small. All that is needed for a cat or a dog really to ingest enough antifreeze to cause problems is anywhere between a teaspoon and a tablespoon, depending on the size of the dog. An average 10-pound cat, you're talking about a teaspoon of liquid, which really is nothing more than about 5 or 6 licks by that animal. You want to make sure that, you know, any of that stuff, that if it leaks out, you clean it up right away. It has a very, very sweet taste to it. So animals jump right to it. It tastes really good to them. And what people don't realize is it's not the antifreeze itself that is toxic. It's once the animal ingests the antifreeze, the liver breaks it down into more toxic products that can actually cause acute kidney failure. And unfortunately, once it reaches the kidney failure stage, there's very little that can be done to reverse the process. But there are things you can look for if you think your animal might have ingested antifreeze. And basically, as odd as it sounds, you want to see if your animal's a little more lethargic, if it appears to be drunk, because it is an alcohol base that is causing the problem. If you see any signs like that, let your veterinarian know. If you're even concerned that you have a possible inclination that they might have ingested antifreeze somewhere along the line, let your veterinarian know, because there are tests out there that can test for some of these substances early, and if you catch it early, you actually can treat it. I won't go too much into the treatment now, but basically it involves almost getting your dog drunk on much stronger alcohol to competitively bind with the byproduct of the antifreeze. But that's kind of a topic that's way above this kind of talk, and pretty much anybody talk except for like MIT type people. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind, and I want to make sure that everybody, you know, stays warm and healthy and happy this winter. You know, dogs and some cats love the snow. They're doing quite well, and I'm really happy to be able to provide this information. However, I would also like to point out that, again, this is just really information only. I can't diagnose anything or give you any major answers over this type of web forum. If you have any specific questions relating to your pet, it's really best to talk to your veterinarian about it. Because every case is different, and I don't want anybody to possibly take stuff that I say here as applying to their specific pet, because that can be a concern and also a hazard to your pet. You always want to contact and talk with your veterinarian, and that'll be like the kind of the topics that as I talk later on through the year about, I'll be re-emphasizing that point. So if you do have any questions about winter hazards or things of that nature, feel free to contact your veterinarian. That's what we're here for. You can always contact me at the Humane League if you have further questions, and I hope everybody is staying warm during these cold snaps. If you happen to be seeing this in someplace warm, I wish I were you. And I'll be back in future months with, again, more low-budget yet highly informative talks. And right now, I'm going to try to extricate myself from this chair, as I think I am partially frozen to it, and then go inside to see how long it takes for me to feel my toes again. So I wish you all a good afternoon, evening, morning, whenever you're viewing this, and look forward to talking to you again next month. This is going to be a little harder than I thought. Well, now I'm stuck.